Here we go. What's up, everybody? Not that there's a lot of people that watch these things, anyways, but nice to have you with us. In the words of Mad Dog Russo, I haven't been on basically all season since week one. Because this fall was my busiest fall business wise, and quite frankly, days just fly. It's 4 o'clock before you know it. So I had a little bit of time this afternoon to myself, and I figured, well, why not kind of do a State of the Union, if you will, of Buffalo Bills football. Stinks that it's after a loss, but nonetheless, here we are. So, just gonna kind of just throw everything out there from this past week to the future opponent on Sunday, the Detroit Lions, to just the team as a whole, the outlook for January, etc. So, I think first and foremost, probably the best thing to talk about is just the game this previous Sunday against LA. So, obviously it's a tough loss. I've always said I'd rather lose by 50 than lose by 2, or a close game. I think those are easier to swallow. I think it's, but at the same time, maybe a loss like this, you're going to hear a lot of cliches for the next half hour, 45 minutes, but maybe a loss like they suffered on Sunday could be good for a multitude of reasons, right? For just the psyche, you're not, riding this, if they won out, 11 game win streak, or 12, 7, 8, 4, 12 game win streak into the playoffs. A loss, I feel, after a good 4 or 5 game win streak, ours was obviously 7, could be a good reset to say, okay, hey, you learn more from losses than you do from wins, my opinion, because you think, okay, hey, we won, let's just continue to do the things that we've done because it's given us the result. So I think that them being able to, okay, hey, take a step back, what I think is perfect from just a situational standpoint is they're obviously playing another high octane offense on Sunday. So, going into last week, I said for the weeks leading up to that game, hey, look, the Rams game is not going to be easy. A, just traveling across the country. B, coming off a Sunday night game. C, that Sunday night game resulted in a celebration, division champion, etc. So again, there's slight distractions. I'm not sitting here saying that last Friday before they jumped on a plane, they were still popping champagne for being, AFC's champions. I'm not saying that at all. Get a damn fruit fly. Didn't get them. But it's just another thing. It's another little, just a monkey wrench in the whole thing. So, and then again, not to mention, look, the Rams were the healthiest they've been all year coming into that game. And it just goes to what I've said of when the schedule comes out and it's, oh my God, they got bing, 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 bing. It's like, sure, but you don't know who you're playing against, who's playing for you, who's not playing for them, who's not playing for you, what the weather's like. Obviously, when you're playing in a dome, it doesn't matter. But all that, if they played the Rams a month ago, without Puka Nacua, I don't think that the Rams score more than 24 points. I don't. I think that he's that type of, he's shown to be that type of player where he transforms their offense. They are a top 5-7 offense when they have him, when they have Kupp, when they have Williams, when they have their starting 5 offensive linemen, which they had on Sunday for the first time, I believe, all season. Couple that, oh, look at that. The Rams they're a playoff team. They could easily go to the Super Bowl. Like that's what they have. That's their roster, right? So I think that with them as healthy as they were, again, if they played the Rams a month ago, 6 weeks ago, it's a different story. My opinion. I don't care where they played it. It's a different story. Again, kudos to them. I'm not taking anything away from the Rams. They played a great game. They clearly had a game plan offensively to say, okay, hey, we're just gonna consistently try and put Buffalo in a spot where if they're gonna play cover 3, this is how we're gonna attack. If they switch to man, this is how we're gonna attack. And the result is the result. I think just how our game went. Offensively, it was, I mean, damn near perfect, right? That you score 42 points, 6 touchdowns, all offensively. You shouldn't. Well, 245 and 0 going into that game, historically in the NFL. 245 and 0. It is now 245 and 1, where a team scores 6 touchdowns and 0 turnovers and loses the game. We're the one. And that'll get to a point later on that I'll talk about of we're consistently now being that one in games where your offense does this, your quarterback does that, whatever it is, and we lose the game. It's kind of getting old, and I shouldn't even say it's getting old because it's consistent. It happens twice a year for the last 4 or 5 years where it's like, yeah, no, should have won that game. Why did we lose? We'll get to that in just a minute. But, offensively, it's like they couldn't run the ball, which was semi-frustrating because I believe the Rams were like 30th against the run or something along those lines, where they gave up, the third amount of yards per game rushing in the league. So, again, maybe if you run the ball a little bit more or not run the ball more. If you're more successful running the football, maybe you're limiting, touches for the Rams offense, which potentially, again, points come off the board. Who knows? A lot of differences went into this game. 3 off the top of my head that I felt was the game changing. If you could go back and this is different, right? Who knows? First and foremost, Mike Schopp from WGR, who you should hate. If you don't, you should really reconsider. But I'll give him credit here because we're right down the line here, right? That's all we are, right down the line. One team had a block punt for a touchdown, the other didn't. I mean, that's really one reason as to why the game boiled down to what it boiled down to is one team scored, 7 points, 6 points, an extra point, and that's what it is. So that, and again, that's, you can blame a bunch, in my opinion, blame different people. I mean, Ferguson got bowled over. I think it was a good. I feel like the Rams kind of did a little mini swim there with their defenders, but I knew at some point in a game this year, praying that it wasn't a playoff game or a game to determine playoffs, that our punter wasn't going to cost us. And again, go back and watch it. The guy catches it and he goes like this, and then he kicks the ball. Why aren't we just kicking the football, Martin? Why? Why do we got to do this song and dance thing? For what? What are we pumping up? What are we doing? Just again, you get the kickoff, right? You don't have a cup of coffee before you fucking kick the football. Maybe it's a different game. Number one. Number two. And I contemplated ranking these in terms of like what was more significant. In my opinion, what was more significant was them accepting the holding penalty on 3rd and 7 from the 37-yard line when the Rams had the ball to now it's 3rd and 17 from the 47. In turn, they get 11 or 12 yards to Parkinson over the middle of the field, and then they go for it on 4th and 5. Screaming at the television, what the fuck are you doing, Sean? The number one goal at that point in time of the game was, I need to get my quarterback back on the field. That was as fast as I possibly could. The quickest way to get 17, the ball back, him on the field, because he showed you all game long that he could not be stopped. He had a Josh Allen. Again, another one of these. Jeez. Go down the list of the history of football, and it's happened back in 1954 in Otto Graham. And that's the only time it's ever happened. Just another game. I think I may have said it on this before. Maybe I haven't. But it seems like every other game, it's another one of these historic games for Josh Allen. It's kind of crazy. I'm trying to get this damn fruit fly. It's nuts. So again, the number one goal at that point in time was, how do I, as fast as I possibly can, get the ball back to my quarterback? That is not accepting a penalty to then replaying the down to extend the other team's drive. Wasting more time off the clock, giving my quarterback less time if he does get the football, right? That was the number one goal. So you didn't do it. You accept the penalty. They get 11 to 12 yards on 3rd and 17. They put them in a spot at 4th and 5 to go for it. I feel that they would not have gone for it at 4th and 7 from their 37-yard line. I don't think they would have went for it. I think they kicked the field goal there. I think McVay says, I'm going to take my chances and kick the field goal. I make it. I force Buffalo to score a touchdown to beat me. I think that's what McVay does. But if he doesn't, and if he does go for it on 4th and 7, it's one down. They did it anyways on 4th and 5. Right? So now you do that brings you a couple of different things, right? You stop them. Well, now it's a 3-point game. You got the ball back on the 37-yard line, or if you sack them, maybe even plus more, right? Or you stop them a yard short. It's the 30-ish yard line, right? So you do that, ball back. If you give up the first down there on 4th and 7, you still have all 3 timeouts, right? To stop them, preventing them from getting a first down, and still kicking a field goal, taking minimal time off the clock. All these have to be going through a head coach's mind at that point in time. And once again, it's hands down going away McDermott's worst characteristic, is he has been and forever will be horrible when it comes to situational football and tied into that clock management. He's terrible. I don't get. They bring in this ex official to help them with reviews and whatever. And has that benefited us? I don't really know. I can't tell. I'll look at the big picture after the year's over with. They have this analytic department or this crew that says, I don't mean to quote John Gruden, his thing. Hey, John, it's 3rd and 2. You should punt. And then you punt and it doesn't work, and it's, oh, fuck you. You told me to punt. They have those people that say, hey, percentages say accept the penalty or decline the penalty or kick the field goals, go for the touchdown, go for it on 4, whatever it is. They have that. They have those people on the staff. So if those people either told Sean and Sean did the opposite, or those people told Sean, no, accept it, they should be fired. Because everybody and their fucking mother knew at that point in time, Sean, do not accept the penalty. You're bringing in a game where how many automatic first down penalties were called on both sides? Not just one, both sides. 7, 8 illegal contact, holdings, pass interferences, illegal hands to the face, all that shit. All one of those on 3rd and 17 and automatic first down for the Rams. You bring in so much more than just it's 4th and 7, nut up and stop them, or they kick the field goal. And actually, that was best case scenario, whether it was made or not. I really didn't care. It was either we were going to win by 1 or we were going to win by 4 at that point, because I would die on the hill that says Josh Allen scores another touchdown and wins the game 49-44. Or, well, no, at that point in time, well, yeah. Right? Was that? No, because they scored a touchdown. That was 35-38. 37. Yeah. So again, hopefully it's out of the system. Hopefully it's you learn from it. All that shit. Hopefully that's the case. The third one is obviously going to be you get the pass interference call against Cooper in the end zone, puts the ball on the 1 yard line. Your next play at that point in time should not be a quarterback sneak. Doubling down, it shouldn't be the half-ass quarterback sneak. That's what they did. People are missing that point. And again, I'm not trying to sit here and say that I know all, but I'm up there. They half-assed it. They tried to do the whole... They have 2 guys go out left. Zach Davidson's on the line of scrimmage on the right-hand side. Your 4th-string tight end, mind you. How many times has he buffalo plowed or tush pushed, whatever nickname you want to call it, in his life? Once? Last week? Right? Once? One time? And in crunch time, you're going to put that guy in that position? Mind you, so Josh kind of starts in a little bit of like a shotgunny-ish and then comes up to the line and tries to do the old quick one to get the Rams off balance. Didn't work. Obviously, he sends Davidson in motion, so he's the only guy behind Josh to push instead of having the 3 guys, the conglomerate that it is, to push in. That's a 98% chance of making it. If you're going to call the quarterback sneak, call it like you always have. Call it like you did the very next fucking play. You called the timeout, then you say, you know what? We already burned the timeout. Fuck it. We'll just do the quarterback sneak again. And obviously it was successful. But that can't be that call there. That call, look, you need this much to score. I can't, right, this much to score? Spread the defense out. Spread the defense out. Josh knows he's probably not going to throw the football. You're spreading them out, right? To pull people away from the line of scrimmage. Right? Where Josh is going to be, hell, he can even be under center. I really don't care. He could be in a little short shotgun. Fine by me. I'm betting that if I'm going to run the football, I want Josh to be able to make one defensive lineman miss. And not even really miss. Right? Not get 2 hands on him. It's really what it boils down to. Because if you get 1 hand on Josh Allen on the foot line, Josh is going to score. It is a guarantee. That's what happens when you spread that out. If you have 5, whatever, combination of wide receiver, 10, and running back, don't give a fuck. Go out wide. The Rams probably aren't going to play zone. They're probably going to play man because you only have how much ground to defend. So now you have 5 guys, right, away. Maybe a linebacker's in the middle. I'm betting that Josh is going to get into the end zone and break the plane before said linebacker could prevent Josh from doing so. Not to mention, if you see the way that the Rams defensive line plays football, they are an uber aggressive D-line. And that can work. That's great. Josh will make you pay when you're uber aggressive in that spot. You overcommit, he scores. You don't overcommit, guess what? He scores. Do the fucking Space Jam. He did it. The last time he played that team in that fucking stadium, he did it. Ask Bobby Wagner, future Hall of Famer. Touchdown. Can't stop me. That's what should have happened. You keep your 3 timeouts. You kick the extra point, right? And who knows? Again, you still got to stop them, kick off the whole thing, get the ball back. But what's not going to happen is you're not going to get the ball on the onside kick. You're just not. You're just not. It's not going to happen, right? So that's why the game's over. So that's the 3 things why they lost the game. You can go back, you can really get into it and talk about it defensively, and that they, it's. I think I asked some buddies that I'm a member of a group text with, who are your biggest surprises of the year, then who are your biggest disappointments of the year going into the 4th quarter of the season. And I'll just give you my responses. My biggest surprise individually, was Connor McGovern. Because I may have said on a previous video that him and Bass were my top 2 worries, question marks coming into the season. I didn't know how he was going to transition to center. And he's been very good. Rock solid, can't complain. I mean, just very good. But the offensive line as a whole, as well, has been fantastic. From keeping Josh clean, run blocking, the whole thing, knock on wood, staying healthy. They've been very, 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 very good. My biggest disappointment, and disappointments, if you will, multiple, are all defensively. The D-line, especially the interior, has just been a complete no-show. And I was excited for a bunch of these guys. Now, again, they've missed Carter for the last, 2 months. I felt like he was coming on. But individually, it has to be Ed Oliver. It has to be. 8 tackles, 1 sack. December 11th. 2 weeks till Christmas. Guy's got 1 sack and 8 tackles. And I know he started the year off, bad hamstring, whatever, gutted through. Get it. We all gut through. Murray Cooper's gutting through a wrist injury, still catching footballs. Josh Allen broke a bone in his hand. Still the MVP. Right? So, there's zero excuse. If you can't go, then don't go. Right? Don't go. Don't hurt your team by being out there and playing 10 on 11. It's basically what they've been doing when Oliver's been on the field. And I guess the frustrating thing is that they gave him the extension, and he had a very good year last year. 9.5 sacks. I think he had like 15 or 16 TFLs. He showed that game wrecker-ish type performances. He had them. 1 sack. 8 tackles. December 11th. You are by far the team's biggest disappointment. And they're 10-3. And so, it's not as if it's like last year at this time when they were 7-6, I believe. Coming off the win against Kansas City. Hands down the biggest disappointment. They've had very good seasons from Rapp, from even the clone himself, Damar Hamlin. Benford is established himself as a bona fide number 1 corner in the league. Really, again, this past game against the Rams was the worst game from a lot of people, which is why it went the way that it did, right? Terod Johnson had by far his worst game, maybe in like 3 years, as a Bill. Benford wasn't all that great. Douglas got picked on, hurt day to day. McDermott's words earlier today. So hopefully he's going to play on Sunday. So if there's still time, you can still turn it around and create, a positive from a negative, Ed, but it's got to happen soon. If they don't have a presence inside, they don't. And so this is just foreshadowing, right? I got news for everybody who doesn't think that they're not going to take a defensive lineman in the draft this coming year, barring some unforeseen event happening. They're 1,000,000% taking in a defensive lineman in the draft in the first round this year. 100%. Just get ready for it. I'm telling you now, December 11th. Somebody wearing 90s or 70s, probably not in the 60s, jersey will be a Buffalo Bill from whatever school. Throw out a name, Walter Nolan, Old Miss. Be a great player for us. That's what's going to happen. Because again, the game is won and lost up front. It has been, it is, it will always be. The better you are on the line of scrimmage, the better your team will perform consistently. There's no coincidence as to why Josh is having a phenomenal year, isn't turning the ball over, is efficient, the whole thing, and he's the least sacked quarterback in the league. Now, does Josh have something to do with that? Sure, absolutely. His rushing numbers are also down. So that kind of goes against that argument a little bit. The offensive line for Buffalo has been phenomenal. Fact. And again, they put resources there. They've obviously had a franchise left tackle with Dawkins. They drafted and developed Brown, gave him an extension. They drafted Torrance, who towards the end of last year was kind of shaky a little bit, but has certainly come on this year. McGovern kicked from left guard to center, took over for Morse, has been fantastic. And yeah, Dave Edwards now being plugged into left guard has been fantastic. If there's a weak spot there, we would hear about it. There isn't. They don't sack the quarterback enough. And about once a month, once maybe every 3 to 4 games, they get run on. Just bold. And more times than not, it doesn't hurt them because of 17. But 2 things can be true. They suck up front, and they have the best fucking player in football. So, that's the reasoning. That's it. Right there, plain as day. Close the book. So they're going to try and improve on the ladder, on the defensive line. They need bodies inside. Daquan Jones has fallen off a fucking cliff. He just has. And I'm not blaming him. He's old. He's coming off a significant injury. it sucks because he showed great flashes before he got hurt, both from a run stop standpoint to even a pass rush standpoint, and it is what it is. They brought back Phillips, they bring back Jefferson to try and help something. They did that because they knew A, injuries, but also B, we don't have enough there. And I feel that's where it's going to cost them potentially in January. If they can't fucking man up front. And I appreciate, again, you can have two truths. I appreciate what Sean said today, just now, an hour ago, in his press conference. Saying it's effort, it's heart, it's grittiness, you're up front. You better fucking bring it. And when you play these opponents that have good D-lines, that are just good opponents, quality opponents, you better fucking bring it. The Rams have one of the best young up-and-coming D-lines in the game. And maybe that's why they shut down the run. I don't know. Detroit's pretty fucking good. I know they're banged up. But they're good. Newsflash. When you play teams in January, you go up against Denver. They got a good D-line. You play Pittsburgh. They got one of the best D-lines. Look at all the playoff teams. Let's just do this. Let's just do a little exercise here, huh? Take out your notepads. NFL standings playoffs. Playoffs? Kansas City. How's their D-line? Pittsburgh. Thumbs up. There you go. How's their D-line? Houston. They got a pretty good defensive front. Their D-line. Baltimore. D-line's pretty good. Chargers. D-line's pretty good. Denver. D-line's pretty good. Go to some of these other teams that aren't going to make the playoffs. Cincinnati. They have the best pass rusher, sack-wise. Can't stop anybody. Miami. Not a good D-line. Jacksonville, not a good D-line. The Jets have regressed mightily. Same with the Titans. New England, not a good D-line. Again, I'm not saying that these teams are 3-10 because of their defensive lines. What I am saying is the teams that I give a fuck about, playoff teams, all have minimally above average defensive lines. So we got to be up there. And Ed Oliver has that talent to do it. Wake the fuck up, Ed. Much ado. 33 minutes plus counting here. What else? Detroit. We'll just kind of rally here. I feel like they're going to play. They're defensively. I think they're going to be better on Sunday. I think this past it kind of snowballed. It kind of was just momentum and look, they have these games. It's not an excuse. Go down the last 5 years and look at that. Buffalo gave up 35, 38, 41, 40, whatever. They have those games. Once, twice a year. Hopefully that was, the second game. Baltimore being the other one. Detroit's top 3 team in the league. They're banged up. They have an extra 4 days of rest than you do. You don't got to go across the country, but you still got to travel. Again, no excuse though. There's no excuse. This easily could be a Super Bowl preview, as you've probably been hearing on your ESPNs, FS1s, etc. But it's true because that's how good both of these teams are, and you want to win the game. Do not get me wrong. You want to be able to continue to keep pace with Kansas City. I feel like Kansas City is going to lose 2 more games, minimally. Just my feeling. After Detroit, we got 3 layups. cupcakes. And I think New England will be tough. Don't get me wrong, divisional opponent. Drake May is obviously starting to show that he is certainly an NFL quarterback, and potentially could be one of these quarterbacks that wins games because it's them. Nice that we have them at home first, which again we should be able to take care of them the following week. The Jets at home after that. The Jets are falling like flies just in terms of their roster. I wouldn't be surprised if Breece Hall hits the IR here the next week. See if Rodgers even plays against us. I don't know. But again, much ado. It's you win this one and everything is still in front of you. You lose. Yeah, okay. I don't think the Chiefs are going to lose 3 out of 4. Would I be shocked? No, because again, at some point the other shoe will drop. I don't envision them having this horseshoe so far up their ass the entire rest of the year, regulars and postseason. So that's that. But again, this isn't a measuring stick. There's no measuring sticks in December. Measuring stick games are okay. Hey, you're off to a 3-1, 4-0 start. You got a big game early October, late September. Let's see where we rank. Stack up. Ain't that? I know where we stack up. I know where we are as a team. We are a bona fide, ironclad top 5 football team in the NFL. Where you want to put me based on, where it's the most recent, right? A loss, win, whatever. Who else is? They had Stephen's A list, right? They had Pittsburgh at 5. Buffalo wasn't on the list. And he said, well, Buffalo lost and Pittsburgh won, so that's why I had Pittsburgh at 5. It's fine. What? I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I know where I'm going to be at the end of the season, right? So, but it's intel, and also, how much do you show? I think the whole playbook's open. Don't get me wrong, but do you run one of these kind of, maybe what you save for a Super Bowl, and maybe you run it so that they think, oh, hey, maybe they could do this, and now all of a sudden you're going to do that. I don't know. What I do know is obviously your opponent is ultra aggressive. So this game is not going to be one of these regular opponents in terms of that type of stuff. That they, Campbell, kudos to him. He's got a great program, as they say over there in Detroit, and he just believes in his team, and he believes in, I'm going to either win or lose. I'm not going to let the other team dictate that. Fall on the sword, whatever you want to say. So, I haven't seen their injury report yet. Obviously, the first one will come out today. Don't see it. Yeah, don't see it. But good news is that Coleman is going to be a full participant today, as well as Kincaid. From what reports have said, Rasul Douglas and Taylor Rapp are day to day. Douglas with the knee, Rapp with the neck. So that's something to keep an eye on. Fully expect, obviously, Elam to be active. I think kind of regardless of what Douglas, if he plays or doesn't. So you would hope that athleticism helps you. You hope that it doesn't burn you. But again, I'm expecting a better performance from our defense. I think if we can keep them under 28 and even 30, that will win. Again, which isn't a big ask, but given the opponent, it's a pretty solid performance with how they, have been playing. And really, quite frankly, if you look at Detroit, like it's, again, they're the best team in football, arguably, right? You want to argue against me, fine. Beat Green Bay 34-31. They beat Chicago 23-20. They beat Indianapolis 24-26. So again, 24 to 34 points. So again, that 28, just kind of call it right in the middle there, roughly. 30-ish, that ballpark. That would be a win. They scored 52 the week before that. Again, they're rock solid, but they had that Chicago team basically lying down dead, and Chicago fought back on Thanksgiving, and they had a chance at the end. And Chicago's terrible. So they can be had. Absolutely can be had. We'll see, obviously, how we come out. But and then 40 here. I might be able to do another one of these here next week, so maybe I'll just limit to that and see where we are in terms of playoffs. Real quick, obviously the goal is the 1 seed. It is still obtainable. 1 in 4 shot, I believe, are the odds. Still a chance. The 2 seed is critical. You look at Pittsburgh's remaining schedule. As much as you wanted Pittsburgh to beat Kansas City on Christmas, having them lose another game or two certainly helps as well for us to solidify the 2. So Philadelphia this week, you hope that Philly can beat them. At Baltimore the following week, you hope Baltimore can beat them. And then Kansas City, you hope Kansas City, they can beat Kansas City that game. And then home against Cincinnati. So the next 2 are big. So again, hopefully Pittsburgh can lose back-to-back games here. Because if you're the 2, you're the 1 seed loss away from now hosting an AFC Championship game. So, if you're the 2, right? If you're the 2, and Pittsburgh's the 3, percentage to say you're more likely to play each other in the divisional round. And that game you're hosting instead of going to Pittsburgh. So, again, that's something to keep an eye on. Same record. We're above them right now. I think because of strength of record, I want to say. Let's see who doesn't have it. Because we're both 7-2 in the conference. Much ado. So again, that's where where things are at. Where our team is right now. Don't get me wrong. I said this 2 weeks ago after we beat San Francisco. If we're the 1 seed, I'm not guaranteeing it, but you can start to begin your plans for New Orleans. My opinion. I don't think anybody in the AFC is coming to Orchard Park in an AFC Championship game and beating us right now. This year, right now. How we're playing football, how my quarterback is playing football right now, I don't think you're stopping us. So that's why the 1 seed is important. But that's also why the 2 seed should be just as important. Because I could easily see a Denver, a Charger, a Baltimore, a Pittsburgh, whatever, going to Kansas City and beating them in the divisional round. 100%. I can also see me going to Kansas City and beating them in an AFC Championship game. So, that's what we got for you. We'll try and be back here next week. Maybe talk a little, obviously, more about the Detroit game and what the future holds for the playoffs. So, until then, go Bills. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.